Hey, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar. Mr. Craig Talley's on the line. We'll be hosting the show tonight. And it's this open lines tonight, so we can talk about whatever you guys would want to talk about as far as metal detecting, bottle hunting, privy digging, whatever, gold prospecting, doesn't really matter. And we'll kind of let the show take a path it wants to take. Our phone number is 352-504-4170 if you want to call in. Or you can get on chat right there through Spreaker.com. Go to Hardcore Metal Detecting and click on the comments section, and you can jump on there. But Craig, Craig and I were just talking about just before the show. Man, solid rain down here. It seems like for the last couple of days. We had a few hours of sunshine, but well, if you want to call it like overcast. But man, we got 3.5 or 4 inches of rain, and just today. Bunch of rain yesterday on and off, just got kind of nutty weather, so I haven't been able to get out much, but I do have a fun story for you, Craig. I got a phone call, well, matter of fact, it was yesterday afternoon about 3 o'clock, and a friend of ours calls me and says, hey, you still do metal detectors, right? I said, yeah. He tells me, he says, our well guy or some kind of worker came out and do stuff on the house and lost his wedding ring when he was washing his hands out by the faucet outside, I guess, or something like that, and they couldn't find it. So he says, well, can I borrow your metal detector, or can you come out on Thursday afternoon or something like that and help me find it? I said, well, yeah, I can do that. And I said, he said, well, my son's in the area. He can pick up a metal detector if you have an extra one. So I told him, yeah, come by and stop. So I come by and I gave him that Quest 40. And I pretty much showed him how to turn it on, and I had it all set up for him and everything. And I don't think that his son I think he has a metal detector, Craig, but he hasn't, he's not like really avid with it at all. But literally drove, I think it's 20 miles to his dad's house, and found the ring within about 15 minutes, no problem. Brought it back, and they were just totally happy about it. So I helped him save a ring just by letting him borrow a metal detector, but the guy, it couldn't. I told him, I said, it can't be really that deep. It has to be like within an inch or maybe 2 inches tops, of the surface. And I said, just, pretty much.
You can feel it.
Yeah,
probably. On the graph, wouldn't you?
Yeah, this was, this sand down here and dirt. You drop a penny, you can't see it. It just disappears. True. And even though he was by the faucet, and of course the water, just washes more dirt on him. But yeah, he found it. And came back, they were totally happy. I got a phone call, hey, my son's on his way back over, thanks. Made me feel pretty good. I just couldn't get away. I'm glad he stopped by and picked it up. But I figured, what the heck, the worst thing that's happened, they're not going to be able to find it. I'm going to have to go out there and do it. But, I've just made it simple, pretty much turned it on, and it showed him how to, we're talking within about 2 minutes of showing him how to use the machine. I think he has like a Ace 250 or Ace 350, something like that. So it's kind of a different model and everything. But just showed him how to turn it on, and I said, it should be good settings for you right there. It's not going to be. I was worried about it being around the water pump, the EMI off of it if it turns on and stuff. But he didn't have any problems at all. It did good. So his dad called me back. He says, I might have to be getting one of those machines. Those are pretty cool. I said, well, I gave him the address for him up at SeriesDetecting.com and said, hey, there's a bunch of them up there, but, pick out which one you like or whatever. Let me know which one you're getting, depending on what brand and everything, because they sell a bunch of different brands up there. But, I'll let you know, if I can help you out with it or not, as far as learning it. So I think I got a couple more hooked. It's always nice when they find the stuff they're looking for. You find a ring or whatever they're after, just kind of giving them it kind of gets them, or sparks their interest. What else is in the ground? That's the first thing he told me. I bet there's a bunch of stuff in the ground here. So I created a monster. What's that?
I think I was on Virginia Diggers Facebook page, or maybe it was Virginia Relic. I can't remember. But somebody said they were newbie and they wanted to know, what was the best way to proceed, getting into the hobby. And so people were going on about different detectors. And then I made the comment about, don't rely on the meter, they lie. And
yeah.
So there was a whole bunch of people that commented to me saying, yeah, that's right, they do. And this one guy said, yeah, I know these guys. He goes, they got all these XP Deuses, and they all get in a huddle. He goes, look, what was the meter reading, you know?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
what are the numbers? He goes, no, what are the numbers? Got to know the numbers.
Mhm.
And so I said, yeah. I said, I go by the sound. And he goes, yeah, I do too. So, and then there was a couple other people. Yeah, me too, me too. But and then they were talking about, getting partners to go out with. And so this one guy goes, I was going out with this guy, and we were finding all this good stuff, and I was thinking, man, this guy's picking me some really good spots.
Right.
And he didn't realize it, but they didn't have permission.
Oh,
He thought the
jeez.
guy had permission, and
Got busted.
he goes something about it. If you see the same airplane fly over twice, you got to get out of here, or something like that.
Oh, my God. Well, that's what I've always said about looking over your shoulder. That's nerve-wracking, you know what I mean? That's why I never have really ever just, like, jumped on a property or anything. I don't know. I hate looking over my shoulder to see if a property owner or something like that. That's what I said. You're at it in a whole different realm if you nighthawk. It's like don't ever know who's going to come out at you.
Yeah. What was the other things they were saying? The number one thing was, be very careful. Do not leave holes. Try to make as least mess. Try to keep
Right.
it that you weren't even there. That makes a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Leave it cleaner than you found it, or whatever.
Yeah. And the weird thing is that people were saying, a couple of people were saying, stay away from the Civil War camps and the battlefields. They don't yield anything hardly anymore. And it's just, it's not really worth going there anyway.
Right.
And stick to old house sites. Try to find house sites that aren't there, that are in a field or in the woods, that are long forgotten. Those
Right.
are the ones that yield buttons and bullets and plates and coins and stuff. So,
Well,
and then there was a lot of people were saying that Virginia is one of the states where you can find, just about anything. Anything from colonial all the way through the Civil
Right.
War. It's the best Civil War state, but it's also got a lot of colonial history. Going back even to the 16. There's even chance from people find stuff from the 1600s even, which I have.
Yeah.
And then, it's pretty good for coins too, because of how many,
Well, that's what you
people
got to
have been here.
Well, you got to get it down to it. It's just like your property, Craig. I mean, it's a private owned property, obviously, but it probably has never been haunted. Along with a lot of the houses down through your area, or your bigger properties, farm properties, whatever. You don't have to hit it. Actual encampments, we're all around the area, and there's activity everywhere.
Well, I mean, this area has been hit hard, very hard.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling my yard's been hunted before, but from what I haven't seen, except for a couple mine labs, a decent machine, what I could consider a decent machine.
Right. Right.
Mostly old Whites, old Garretts. They're the two most popular machines up here.
Yeah.
It's like the guys I've met quite a few so far. They think that those are top of the line machines.
Well, they were at the time, but they don't.
It's weird. I haven't seen hardly anybody using any
Anything newer, like
my friend Steve said that this place that they gave up on, they were going in there with I think White's DFX and what else?
Probably MXTs, probably some
Garrett, some kind of Garretts. It's like the green ones with the little square box on the back.
Yeah, I've seen those are still pretty popular. I still see guys using those. I even saw it on a treasure hunting TV show or whatever. Still using the older Garretts, which they all find you some. They're all they all were good at the time, and they're still they'll still find you stuff. But it just surprises me that nobody has like upgraded or whatever. Had tried to get anything that was made in maybe the last 5 years. Steve's the only one that you've really talked about. He has a V3, that I fixed for him. Goes out there and finds a breastplate.
He had a Nautilus, and the ground is good up here, even though it's rocky.
Right.
It's pretty neutral ground, and he went to a spot he took us to, and after he took the Bliss tool in there, it was pretty much done. I've been there 3 times. I haven't found a bullet even. And I think Mike got one the first day with a Deus, but I just couldn't get my coil for one. And but Steve's he said everybody gave up on the place, and he's gotten over 100 bullets and I think 3 buttons. One was a ordnance button, which was probably worn by a Confederate. They supposedly had during the blockade or something, the Confederates had grabbed a ship that had all these buttons, and so they just distributed them to the soldiers, put on their coats.
Right.
But I got one in a Yankee camp in Alexandria.
Yeah.
But it's got like cross cannons on it. It's a pretty cool looking button.
Every time I find one with cannons or eagles on them anymore, it's always those blazer buttons or something. I haven't found I found one cuff button down here, eagle cuff button, but that was more from the Spanish-American War than it was. Of course, probably wasn't the Civil War. I know some of the guys in Gainesville, I think, have found coat buttons and stuff like that from the Civil War. But it's not like a real, they're far and few between down here. They're not like up there where you could probably dig 1 or 2 a day, it seems like, depending on where you're at. These items and stuff, I just found it strange that they haven't, like, not upgraded, I wouldn't even say that. I mean, just tried some of the newer technology. And maybe they've found enough with those machines that they're happy with them, too. I mean, like I said, they'll all find you something. It's got to be getting slim pickings where they go if they go all the time, like you say. Like those properties where you saw the guys hunting with the some other machines there, their older machines. I'd go back over it with the Deus or Bliss tool or Equinox or Quest, whatever. I mean, because they're so far out, not outdated. You know what I'm saying, guys? I mean, they're just older machines. They're like 15, 20 years old. Obviously, the machines of today are going to be, get a little bit deeper, maybe have a better target separation, faster recovery delay speeds, all that stuff, and be able to kind of pick out some more targets out of there relatively easy. Because I remember with I had a MXT and a DFX, stuff like that, and they're not that far out of the realm. I mean, they've been, the Spectra V3 came out, in 09, right, Craig? Something like that. So it's almost 10 years old now.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's still a competitor. It's not, you just got to know how to set it up, to get the performance out of it. But I still see people using the MXTs and everything. They've always found stuff. I've always did like the Whites machines, but just for that extra step, that extra power and target separation and everything, the way that this tech is now, these machines are getting better and better, the performance-wise and everything. So, heck, even if you had a chance to buy a used one, I'd tell people that more often than not. Get on eBay, get on Amazon, see, people are selling used machines. If there's a particular machine you wanted to try in the past, and most of the time you can get, if you wanted to buy an AT Pro, I think you can get an AT Pro used probably for like $300 or $400 now on some of these, privately sold ones. Just to try it out, that's not a bad deal because you pay that for a halfway decent detector, newer one, like a mid-level, low to mid-level machine. So, I mean, you're not hurting yourself by doing it. And you could turn right around and sell it if you didn't like it, or if you wanted to buy something even better. Maybe you wanted to get into an Equinox or a Quest or what have you. There's a lot of choices out there. There's so many doggone metal detectors, Craig, I can't even remember all of them. When you step back and think, especially the foreign detectors that are, kind of like less known or whatever. There's tons of those. Trying to make a choice on a detector pretty much comes down to if you're not doing research on what the specifications are. It's just pretty much looks. What looks right to you. What the weight, everything. Some of these older machines weigh quite a bit. Like that. You're talking like the Nautilus, Craig. That had to have weighed more than, what is that, about 4.5 pounds? at least.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
yeah. I'd
you know,
say close to 5.
and it wasn't very ergonomic, I don't think, but
No.
it just looked like it was really like carrying a brick around.
Well, it's like carrying a heavy toaster right on top of the.
Yeah. I never could get over the
it-
batteries being on the outside of the box, like those 9 volts, and on the bottom
Yeah.
side. I couldn't get over that.
That
Why they
bothered
ever
me.
did that?
That bothered the hell out of people, but it didn't touch the ground and never caused a problem.
Yeah. I just thought it was kind of strange. They never like enclosed them in anything. I guess they didn't have to. You know, obviously it worked pretty good. I was trying to think of the grounding issue, whatever. You know, I mean, like if you set it down and somehow wet mud got up in there. I don't know if that was ever a problem or not, but apparently not. Just seemed like it was like for the connection of the batteries themselves, or just
that machine was built like a tank.
Yeah.
I used it for about 7 or 8 years. I shortened the handle as long as I could, short
Right.
as I could. So, that way I didn't have the heavy coil, because the coil was about 1.5 inches thick.
right.
And but that machine yielded me a lot of stuff over the years. God, I used to go behind those guys, the whites. Oh, I have them crying. They were so upset. I had a couple guys that one guy comes up to a meeting, and I'd been to this spot right off 95, probably on the other side of the highway from where I took you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a huge hill there, and they were bulldozing it. It was right behind the sound wall.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd been a main camp at the bottom of the hill, and then at the top it looked like it was mostly New York. And I went up there the second day, I guess. I got in a bunch of stuff the first day, and then the second day I went up there, and there was a guy from the club, Northern Virginia Relic Hunting Association Club, and he had a white, I guess, top of the line, I think a 6,000, and he said, he goes, there's nothing up here, He said, I just got, just a grommet, I think, and so I went over. He started hunting, down the clearing and away from me, and I saw this old tree, and so I went over there first, turned the machine on, started digging up pieces of epaulette pieces all over the place.
That's pretty cool.
It was like shoulder epaulette for the shoulders. They usually threw them away because they were heavy and useless.
Right.
And but anyway, I dug a bunch of little brass pieces from it, and so I thought, that's pretty good. And I think I got a bullet, and so then I was hunting across, and all of a sudden I got this weird signal, and it's kind of long, and it was real faint, but it was totally repeatable. It was real soft, but it was long, and I thought, that's weird, So I started digging, and I kept digging and digging and digging, and finally I hit bricks, and it was a floor like a bricks.
Right.
And I uncovered about maybe, God, it took me 45 minutes to dig the pit. It was down about two feet deep, I guess, and I got in the bricks. It was hard to get. I had to pry the bricks up.
Right.
Once I got the hole open, the signal got stronger, so I knew it was a good signal. And so finally, I pried the bricks up, and I get 14. I think there were 72 caliber Prussian bullets.
Yeah.
And it was like 14 of them, under the bricks. And
Yeah.
I kept thinking, I kept probing with my knife and stuff, and I couldn't tell if there was any more, how if the bricks, went even further or not. But I was like worn out from taking the hole.
Doubt it.
But anyway, and as I start walking, toward where the guy had been about an hour before, I see him coming back, and so he comes walking up to me, and I'm digging another hole, and I think I found a 3-ringer down fairly deep, and he goes, you didn't feel anything, did you? And I just opened up my pouch, and the guy just went, "You goddamn Nautilus people!"
Messing with you.
So anyway, the next meeting I go to, the guy comes up to me and he's got this funny smile on his face, and he goes, don't tell any of my buddies, but I bought a Nautilus.
Yep.
And he said I took it out the other day. He goes, man, I'm never using that whites again.
Yeah.
But it was funny. I didn't see the guy for another, God, probably 15, 20 years. And I saw him right down the street from my house where we were digging that cavalry camp.
Uh-huh.
And when they bulldozed, I went up there, and the guy had gotten huge. I didn't even recognize him. And he recognized me and came up to me and he says, hey, I'm so-and-so. And I said, oh, man, I haven't seen you in years. And so I looked, and he had a Tesoro, and he had the little the little box is called the what the heck are they called?
Lobo?
No, it wasn't a Lobo. It was either
Or Bandito, maybe.
a silver saber or a maybe they called they had another one, the Bandito.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been the Bandito, but it had this one. It had a tiny little box. The whole machine weighed like 2 pounds with the coil.
Yeah, it was.
And the box only had one 9-volt. Was all it took.
Mm-hmm.
It was surface mount technology. But Mike had one. He had a Bandito with mini, I think it was called Mini Max or something like that.
They still do good. I mean, really, when you think about it, Tesoros, I mean, I always kind of liked them anyways, even when I was using my whites machine. My buddy was a big Tesoro. Well, he was kind of a dealer down here, kind of like what you were up there, and then he got squashed by, the big box store, big time, and stopped doing it. But, yeah, he uses a Bliss tool, and he uses Tesoro. He has all different kinds of those, but he does pretty good with them. I mean, I don't know, they always seem to be a little bit more, maybe it's because you're using sound only. You know what I mean? It didn't have screens and everything. I kind of liked it.
I had the Toltec 100, which had a meter on it.
Right.
And, coin hunting, I used to kill people with that thing.
Yeah,
I used to mow the whites, the older whites, well, even the newer whites. I was, that came out about the same time that the Toltec came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was going over spots getting times they couldn't hear. Most of them were with good meter readings.
Right.
And I used a 10.5-inch coil on it. But it was a concentric coil.
Right.
But man, I dug so many silver coins with that.
Well, it had that.
It was unbelievable.
It had that round sound.
That was my go-to machine for coin hunting.
Mm-hmm. I used one.
And
go ahead.
Relic hunting. I would go for iffy signals, but you really can't do that in people's lawns and
right,
parks and stuff. I don't know. It's just it's better to have a meter where you can at least make a guess and dig.
Well, I've been running into this, Craig, and maybe it's because I haven't used meter machines in quite a while or don't remember this, but when I hit like I've been using the Quest, but the numbers I figured out, anything over 45, VDI number, if it's staying above 45 or 40 or 45 and you're going higher, I dig everything after that. I mean, pretty much a 25 is a piece of iron, like a nail or something like that, on the Quest. I've been digging, like sometimes I'll go as low as 35 as far as, VDI, but the tones come into play then, where it's also a lower tone, and I kind of watch, but I don't know. I don't dig hardly any iron with this thing except for great big iron, like cast iron and stuff. I dug a few big items there at the Tollbridge property, and the big bolt and everything. But I knew it was going to be big iron. I mean, obviously you're raising the coil up to your knee. That's pretty much a dead giveaway, or it's a big old piece of aluminum or whatever. But it was giving me the right tone. I did know it. Well, the cast iron, it gave me like a 92, something like that. It goes up to 100 or 99, whatever. But it was giving me like a 92. A quarter would be in the 80s, like 85 or so, something like that. So, it's like almost like, oh, it could be silver, but it's probably going to be, like a big chunk of, cast iron or something. Cast iron comes through. Even on the Blisstal, you could tell it's cast iron because of the way it reads out, because usually the Blisstal, you don't have any problem with iron. It knocks it out altogether, except for cast iron will come through probably because of the impurities, Craig, you think, or something like that. It was processed more or something like that. But I don't mind digging the cast because, so many things were made out of cast iron back then, or up until really up to the, 60s and 70s, they made a lot of cast stuff. Then it went into all the cast aluminum and all that kind of, hoopla, probably from the 70s on. They had aluminum and stuff, obviously, before that. But, I mean, the cast iron pans and the irons and so many things, were made out of cast iron. So I don't mind digging them. It's like relics or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, it would, I don't know. I mean, you notice like a 55, I think, on a Quest is a pull tab. But that's also in the gold range. Like the men's ring probably rang up at probably 53, 54 on the Quest. And it's pretty, but you could tell a difference in the nuance of the sound that it's either good, it has that clip on the end, like the Blisstal does, where it's just not perfect sounding. It has imperfections in the signal, the repeatable signal. It's kind of a dead giveaway to me, and I've got used to it with shotgun shells also, which they're brass, the older shotgun shells, but they read up into a higher range also. I think it's 65 or something like that. But then you have buttons, like buttons that are in that range, and a lot of other items. I don't know. I just, it gives you an idea of what an item is. I don't ever strictly go by it. So hang on a second, Paulie. Your sound is on. All right, Craig, go ahead for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. At any rate, hang on a second. Go ahead and talk for a minute, Craig. Oh, there it is. Now it's switched. Okay. It's switched now. Sorry, she was trying to watch her video. Kind of got her all messed up.
Oh, okay.
But at any rate, yeah, as far as the VDI numbers, I mean, you can go by them. The sound has always been where it's at, I think, to kind of pick out what an item could be. But you never really know until you dig it out of the ground anyways. You dig enough of something, you'll kind of get used to it, guys. And, pull tabs, like, square tabs, everything.
I watch the stealth diggers, and when they do their hunts, they don't use headphones.
Right.
They, let you hear the signals, and they'll go into a cellar hole area, and the first thing you hear is just chattering iron junk, low tone.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you hear like a little squeak, and then they kind of zero in on it, and a lot of times, most of the time, they'll call out the numbers on it, and a lot of the stuff that's shallow, they can pretty much know what it might be. But they started digging even lower numbers sometimes, like down in the 30s, and it's funny how many little buttons and stuff they got. But then they'll also get, like a better, higher number, and they'll dig like an iron spoon bowl that sounds good.
Right.
I can kind of hear it, myself, and I've never used an AT Pro, and I remember one time when Nugget Noggin got a silver dime reading, and I'm thinking, dude, that's an iron. I can hear the nuances in it, and I've never even used one.
Right.
And he goes, ooh, I got a silver dime reading, and he digs up this big piece of iron.
Yeah, it happens to all of us for a couple.
But I think, sometimes they did one test where they were digging everything, anything solid, even if it read iron, and they were digging, a lot of iron, but then all of a sudden they get something good, and it would, it's like when I was telling people, don't rely on the meter and that thing. One guy says, buttons don't always sit flat in the ground.
Right. Could be on edge.
And that's another, it's like, I've got nickel readings. I remember one time I got a nickel reading and dug down about, 3 inches, and it was a Sea Liberty dime on edge.
Right.
And,
well, That's kind of what I was
You
going to
know,
talk about too. Is that with the VDI numbers and even the tones, uh, I'm fortunate with this Quest. It pinpoints the depth reading on it seems to be always within an inch of where it is, which is really good because like some of the other machines are like 3 and 4 inches off on the depth reading.
yeah,
And what I was doing out there, if I get a like a 50, but it was and I pinpoint it, and the depth reading's like I don't know, we'll say 8 inches down. It's showing 8 inches, so I figure it's about 7. I always take a scoop out of the ground because as the signal is deeper, as it gets closer to the detection depth of the machine itself, it knows something's there, but it doesn't know how to read out. The whites would do that to me too, and like a 12-inch quarter on a whites would go into the negative range, and it would give you a stranger tone because it went into the negative range. But I'd pinpoint it, and it would pinpoint right at 11 or 12 inches deep. So I mean, you're dealing. So you take a scoop out of the ground. You hear us say that once in a while, where you take a 2-inch plug, 3-inch plug, whatever, just to get the surface area broke open, then scan it again, and usually you'll get a little bit better of a solid number, whether it's good or bad, as far as item, iron or non-ferrous. I do that a lot, because if it is a shallow item, obviously it's going to be probably
most
iron.
relic hunters know this trick, but I mean, when you get any kind of signal, first thing you do is scrape all the leaves with your foot out of the way.
Yeah.
And the stealth diggers are starting to got more. They're scraping the ground back,
Mm-hmm.
and they go in and there'll be deadfall all over the place, and they take like a half an hour or so, and they drag all this stuff out of the way so they can hunt a place that's hadn't been hunted before.
It sounds like me.
All this stuff in the way,
I do it with a weed whip.
I mean, I've cleared out whole areas, and
Right.
I
brought a weed whip with me doing that just to clear it out.
Just scrape the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen videos, guys doing that on camps. They just scrape all the leaves and mulch back first, and then they start hunting.
Well, another way to do it too is stomp the ground right there. If you that does too. Get like an iron signal, but it's a repeatable signal, and you hit that ground or break that surface a little bit, like by raking or just even putting your heel there and stomping the ground real good, and then scan it. Sometimes it'll clean up or get worse, whichever. You want it to do something. But yeah, if it stays good or if it gets better on the sound wise, it's probably a non-ferrous item of some kind. But if it starts breaking up, it's probably going to be iron, the iron halo around it. The oxidization, whatever you want to call it. It does with silver coins and copper and most items, except for gold. I don't think it would do it on gold at all because gold doesn't corrode or whatever. But yeah, just breaking that halo a little bit. So you got to kind of watch that too, Craig, because if you break the halo, then you may not be able to detect that item if it's really deep. So you almost have to recover it anyways. Just to see for sure. There's nothing 100%. No machine's 100% on telling you whether something's good or bad. I don't think. As far as these little icons they have on some of the machines. Oh, it's a button. Well, it's going to read anytime it hits that VDI number. It's going to say button unless you change it in the machine. Like with the Spectra V3 and I think the MXT, you could do that too with the little icons, bullet or coin or whatever. You can change those around to get it more realistic for you. But when I did the same thing when I first got my first whites. Oh wow, it's a button. Yeah, right. It's a beginner's ignorance, I could say. And I did the same thing. Oh, it's a button. Well, I never did dig a button for a long time with that thing, not a brass or whatever button. So usually it was a piece of junk of some kind. But you start listening to the sound of it. That's where it was at. So we hunt by sound regardless. It seems like even though we have a screen and everything, it's one of the major. It should be one of the major factors in a relic hunter's mind. That VDI number can say whatever, but if that sound's telling you to dig it, because it's, your ears are more sensitive to it in most cases anyways. So yeah, but I don't know. It's hard to explain some of these machines, Craig, because it's like every machine has its quirks or its good points and bad points or what it does well and not doesn't do well. So trying to explain how to adjust those out, I guess that'd be a whole nother show on different machines, how to get it more smooth, more stable, that kind of thing. And how it's reading now, like the Deus, I mean, you did that for years before people really talked about it, was the full tones. And not even have to worry about the,
Well, it didn't,
you know.
it didn't come out until 3.2, but I'm on this site called XP Deus Team USA, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's the one where Tim Glick's, a team member.
Right.
It's a pretty good site, and, but they were talking about full tones versus maybe 5 tones or whatever, and there were some people. Most of the people said full tones. Most of the veteran hunters like the full tones better.
Mm-hmm.
Tim uses full tones. I've always, I kind of advocated it to him when we first, because I helped him out in the beginning when he got his, and he was, kind of a numbers guy, but he's been telling me lately that he doesn't really go by numbers. If it sounds solid, and it,
Yeah.
he goes by the sound, and so I said, and he said, it's he digs probably a lot more trash than he used to too, and I go, that's a good thing, because it give you, it's like playing the lottery. The more tickets you got, you probably have better chances.
Yeah. Well, it also gets you used to it too.
And then you can dig a weird signal that will yield something you never expected.
Right.
So.
Well, take it from a guy that digs trashy sites. I've dug so much junk in my life with metal tape, but I've dug so much good stuff too. And when you go over a good target, man, I tell you, if you've spent your time in really like cellar hole sites and really, kind of trashy yards and stuff, you really, it really is noticeable when you go over a good repeatable signal. It stands out so much you don't even have to look at that meter. Whoa, that's a good signal. You can hear it. I can't explain. It's the nuances is not something that's very easy to explain. The perfections or imperfections of a tone, but you don't even really. I mean, it's a reference guide. That screen is a reference guide. Okay, it's reading up this, but it sounds better. It just sounds cleaner. Dig it. Because it might be a piece of junk, but as you dig that kind of thing, and you're going to realize more and more what the good signals are, they're going to stand out more to you. Even with full tones or whatever, the nuances in those tones. I've also found a lot with the frequencies, especially with this Quest. Is for my kind of hunting, the jewelry mode or whatever, I've been running in 13 kilohertz. I mean, I think, it has 2 other frequencies you can run. If I was hunting gold, it'd be the highest frequency they have. And if it's just like I'm spotting around like cherry picking, I go down to the lower frequency. And with that machine, it works, for me, it works really good like that. But when you have like a Mind Lab that's running however many frequencies at the same time, or like the White Spectra that runs 3 frequencies at the same time, that's when it gets kind of really. I actually went to single tones or single frequencies on the whites because of that. The differences in the tones and the way it hits them and everything else, because there's high conductors and low conductors, like silver being a high conductor and gold being a low conductor. It may play a factor in, if you're using multiple frequencies, how it comes across or how you hear it versus one frequency, or if you can pick and choose which ones. That's where the variants or the bells and whistles, so to speak, I think, come into play.
I used Explorer, and that was multi-frequency, and but you really couldn't. I don't know if you could change it or not. I don't think you could.
Yeah, some machines you can, some you can't.
But I liked it. I could, stuff like bullets. I could dig a bullet, amazing depth with a bullet.
Yep.
And I could. It was pretty good on silver. It was a lot better on nickel. You could dig, much deeper on nickels. Nickels are kind of low conductive, and
right.
with all the different frequencies it had, it would enhance, stuff that normally you wouldn't get that depth from, like at 13 frequency, 13 kilohertz, the like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 kilohertz would pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
I used to use Fisher, and Fisher wouldn't pick up a nickel worth of damn, but it would pick up, a horseshoe at, half a horseshoe, 2.5 feet.
Oh yeah.
It'd pick up a dime at, 8 or 9 inches. We weren't, it didn't have a meter on it. It was I used a 1265X.
Right.
And, I dug some amazing stuff with that, with that machine, especially bullets. I used to use a 9-inch coil. I could dig a bullet about over a foot deep.
Right.
I wouldn't dig a nickel hardly 3 or 4 inches deep.
And there's even machines nowadays that do that. Look at I think it's the MX Sport. I know that thing would pick up a nickel better than it does a dime or a quarter. If I remember, unless they've changed that, I don't know. But I mean, it was more sensitive. It's supposed to be more for gold, I think, or to be able to pick up gold easier. And then you ran into, some of the earlier videos. I think they've changed that or had an update or whatever. But, I was noticing, when the guy he was using the machine and he'd used it before and gotten rid of it and got another one to retry it kind of thing, and to see if it was a machine he wanted to use all the time. But the one thing I noticed in the video was he'd go over a nickel or thinking it was a nickel signal. Oh, this is a nickel, and it says it's 7 inches. And he'd dig down 4 inches and hit a pull tab or a square tab. Oh, that was weird. And then he goes on to the next one, the same scenario. It's reading 7 inches, it's really 4 inches, and it's reading nickel, solid 19. But when he digs it up, it's a square tab that should be reading 21 to 23. And it was just, for whatever kind of hunting he was doing, it was not as accurate. And he was hunting, but so how many nickels did he miss because they were reading up lower? You know what I mean? A little bit lower, depending on where he had the machine set up. And it's been a while since I watched it, but the guy, was pretty well versed in metal detectors. But there's some that you can't get your mind wrapped around. I mean, I've used, one of them was with me was that was it the Racer? The first macro racer or whatever. I tried that. I just couldn't get my mind wrapped. I didn't even want to get my mind wrapped around it after a while because for the kind of hunting I do, it wasn't really something I would use all the time anyways. But then when I got the EAT Pro and the F75 from Fisher, they had their good points and their bad points for me, but I'm also used to having that extra power. So you work your way up with metal detectors because you don't want to back step because then you're not even getting what you had before. I don't think, unless you're getting something with totally new kind of technology, modern detector like this Quest. It has pleasantly surprised me for my style of hunting that it does a lot on the same lines as a Bliss tool does as far as the way that it IDs or the way that it the recovery delay and everything. So I was kind of familiar. I could walk right into this detector relatively easily, and the first day, felt pretty comfortable with it. Whereas if I went to I don't know, back to a MXT or something like that, I would, I would remember how to use it and everything, but it would not. It didn't have what I wanted in a detector for my style of hunting. So, I mean, I'd be backstepping if I went to that. So these newer machines are surprising me because they are so very good, really, when you think about it, for the price range that they're in. So, I've been trying to use some other different kind of detectors, which I'll talk about, in future shows, just to see how they add up or how they, not really a comparison, just from the performance standpoint. Because there are a lot of them that come out that, as you know as well as I do, Craig, that are pretty much low level or whatever. They're same technology they've used before, just change the looks of it. And then you have the new ones like the new upgraded Deus with the the new programs they have for that, and then the Equinox and the Quest and the AT Max, and these things are all stepping up a little bit at least compared to what they already have. That's one thing I heard about the Max. Wasn't it you, or maybe it was one of the callers that was saying that he did notice a big difference in the performance of it compared to an AT Pro. It is a little bit better,
Oh yeah,
but it's
well,
not.
they improved the ground balance greatly, and they also made it much more sensitive.
Right, and that's what it needed.
So
it
you
needed
could turn the sensitivity up more. I met a guy last summer, I guess it was, and we were metal detecting in the yard, and all of a sudden this guy was, yells from over our fence, and says, "Hey, what's going on? Funny thing." So I went over there and noticed the guy had a AT Pro Max. Oh no, he had an AT Max hat on, and this is probably right when they were coming out. The very first ones were coming out, and so I said, "Oh, you have a Max?" And he goes, "Yeah, I got an AT Pro." And he goes, "I don't really like the Max. I'm thinking about selling it." I said, "How long you had it?" And he says, "Oh, about a week."
Yep.
The thing is so noisy.
Yeah.
He said, "Man, it's driving me crazy." And I said, "You got to turn the sensitivity back, man. I think it's got, more sensitivity."
Right.
And he said something about, "Do you have one?" I said, "Nah, I just, I do a radio show and I know all about machines, and that's what they've done." I said, some places,
Well,
you got to turn the sensitivity down. You can only use as much as the machine will allow you.
Well, yeah, the ground could be totally different from where somebody else is using those same settings. That's what always got me about, I'm just using an example like the ballistic oil. What settings are you using? Well, the settings it's going to differ greatly between, me and you because of the ground I'm in. But, we give them the startup settings or whatever. But yeah, some areas you're not going to be able to pound the sensitivity all the way up. I mean, it's just, the ground's not going to allow it. And you're going to have to run a lower sensitivity. And, some of these, some people don't realize that. They think, oh, well, this thing's supposed to be the cat's meow, and it's not doing anything. But they have to back down on it.
Crank that thing.
Yeah.
I've seen it so many times over the years. People, they want to put everything at max. Mm-hmm. It's either that or they have everything at preset, never change anything.
I mean, that's like that Quest. I run the Quest at 70 or 75 sensitivity. That's where I run it. And that's where, I can run it up to 85 or 90 and still be stable, but it's almost like you're punching it too hard. You're pushing that power way too much, and you really could start, I notice it not distorting, but the tones are coming through, but they're coming through louder or amplified more, and it starts, it doesn't give you a true, what I call a true tone. It's pushing too hard. So I back down the sensitivity a little bit, and, I'll move, like they usually have I think the discrimination set at like 25 or 30 or something, like, depending which program you're in. So I just kind of made my own because I really like mine, like I said, right around 30 to 40 is where I set the discrimination, where it starts knocking nails out or not giving you a tone for them and stuff. I feel like, okay, if it's a bigger nail or something, I'm going to get it. But I'll know it. I'll hear it in the way the tone is, or the way it's locking on, or whatever. But some guys will get out there and I've seen them do it. I mean, they, all the way up on the sensitivity, RX gain or whatever, and then get frustrated with it. But you gotta have a stable machine. Any machine you're using has to be stable to get the most performance out of it. If you take a stereo system and crank it all the way to the gills, it's going to start distorting the sound. So just think of it like that. Turn it back a little bit. Give it a little bit more breathing room, so it can give you a better information. You're not getting anywhere by pumping the power other than frustrating yourself. And I can, it's like, ballistic Craig. I can run this thing at 10 gain, but there's absolutely no need to. You got to know how to set everything else up to be able to handle that power. Because if you don't, it's going to be a distorted mess. It's not going to. You're not helping yourself. You're better off going up on the actual sensitivity threshold on a Bliss tool. Because I think I did a video on it. I was running max everything. 10 gain and this and that. And the other thing on the V3 model, and it was nice and stable. And yeah, I could get a lot deeper items, but it wasn't. I guess I could get messed up easy on bigger iron items that are about the same depth, because it would give me a signal, but it would clip. but the clip, because the sound is so loud or the signal's so loud, that it would clip itself. You know what I mean, Craig? It give you that distortion in there, so it would almost fool you. You know.
I'm looking at this button. Ohio Relic Hunter just sent me. It's got Bib Doug.
Uh-huh.
And it's really old, but it's got kind of, I don't know, it's got almost like letters, but is that button upside down maybe? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even see where you guys are looking at.
He sent me a message.
Oh,
pictures
okay.
of it. And, but the shank on this thing, that is really old. The way that thing's sitting up there, and it looks pewter to me. It's got the line through it, like it was cast or something.
Mm-hmm. Hey, we got a caller, Craig. Hang on a second. We got a caller. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Derek, this is Bill.
Hey, Bill. We were just talking about you.
Yeah, I figure I'd do it that way. That way you guys would know what I was talking about when I called in. I just PM'd you some pics of it, too.
Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and
Bob Drake found this button a couple of weeks ago up in Maine and sent me pictures to put on Facebook for him because he's not on Facebook.
Right.
And I put it on ID Me page, and nobody has any idea what it is. So I'm thinking it's pretty old. Of course, it's pewter. It's got the cast mark.
Yeah.
That's 1700s. But judging by that shank, where it's square up the top.
The line around it, where it's got like a line inside the rim, that looks, like almost like a Revolutionary War design in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we were thinking. Because if you know anything about shanks and the style of shanks that's back in the
and that line through it, that's definitely pewter. I've got buttons like that.
I still haven't seen it yet.
The way it's square like that. I dug one here a while back, and I looked up the shanks and everything, and the way that they're made. That says they started that style in 1724, so it might be, even pre-Rev War. So, but if you look at the base of it real close, it looks like it says 1789 with a reversed 7 on it.
Hang on, I'm gonna try something here.
So I'm thinking that's like a regiment button or something,
or an upside down 9 or 6.
Yeah, it might even be foreign,
Or that could be a U on instead of a 17.
Yeah, I've looked and looked.
It almost looks like a U. I was thinking USA, but I can't see. I can't make it into a USA.
Bob just put in the chat that he can put a link to a picture of it. So go ahead and do that, Bob, so everybody else can see what it looks like. Maybe we'll get it ID tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I finally got it. Okay. My phone, guys, I had to restart my phone from factory settings and had to install Messenger on it. I'd say that's older than 1800s anyways.
Yeah.
Definitely is.
That's the way the count.
It's got to be, Revolutionary War earlier.
Well, I believe on the same day he found his first 2 real, and it was a 17. Bob, what year was it? 1770 something, wasn't it?
Well, this is.
He's not gonna call in. I'm hoping he puts it in the chat. So he found that real and the button in the same area. So
could that be a backwards 7 on there? That's what.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
Yeah, 1786. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Bill. It's a new one on me, but it does look very, very old. I would say it's 1700s, just from the.
Yeah, well, regardless of what it is or where it came from, that's a pretty cool find. I mean,
Whoa.
Don't find stuff like that stumps a lot of the button experts,
If it could be Prussian or something.
It could be. 1763 real.
What state did he find it in?
Up in Maine. Northeast Maine. Or southeast Maine.
I would say
it was. The Prussians would have been up there, but they, somebody could have carried this after the war, up there.
Exactly. Yep. His avatar picture on the chat is actually.
I wonder if it could be. wonder if it could be French and Indian War.
That's what I was thinking.
You know,
I mean,
That's a possibility too.
yeah,
because maybe the 17 is maybe it's, I don't know. It just doesn't look. It just doesn't look right. That it's. You can tell it's definitely a number or a letter or something, but it's
right.
I don't know.
Well, we figure the more people we get the pictures
everything
out
else
to,
about it, it's definitely old. I mean, I've got buttons that look like that are plain, with the rim around
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. But,
right.
I don't know. And the way the back looks with that.
it almost looks like
that
a
line running.
like they were trying to make like a look-alike flat button almost. The flat. They're later than that, but just has that look about it. I know they have that etched in the front of it. I don't know. Very interesting find, that's for sure.
I have two
Yeah,
USA
definitely.
and Twine buttons, and they have that real long shank on it, just like this, and they're made out of pewter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I
Mine
know-
are
Guys, I hate to hang up
darker.
this quick, but I got to go up and I've got to go up and get my wife. She's beeping in right now. Bob just put the link in the chat there, so if I just
okay.
through
Yeah, I
these
see it.
pictures real quick and see if we
Yeah,
can find,
well,
put a couple more eyeballs on it and get it ID'd for Bob. At least find out where it came from. I think it's a pretty cool
Oh,
find. So.
yeah, it definitely is. Definitely, he did a good job finding that thing. All right, Bill.
All right, fellas, I gotta go. I gotta live with her. I don't have to live with you guys.
That's
so.
right. Happy wife, happy life.
All right, guys. We'll
Yeah,
see you
really.
later. Thanks. Appreciate you.
No problem, brother. All right. Yeah, I didn't get the answer. Well, maybe he'll probably listen to the show on his cell phone right there while he's going over to get her or whatever. But yeah, he was asking me about my test garden, and no, I haven't done any more on it, simply because, well, we've had 40 days and 40 nights of rain, probably. Seems like. Just as I think it was been the last thing on my mind because I've been wanting to get out metal detecting so bad. But it just every time we start on something, man, it just took me 10 hours to mow the lawn yesterday just because I kept on getting hit with rainstorms in between. Nothing to really speak of as far as quantity. It just it rains for 20 minutes, stops, then it starts again. Just it's a constant battle down here this time of year. This time of year sucks for us, really. I mean, you can get out there when these storms hit. There's so much lightning and everything too. I mean, you wouldn't want to be standing out in a field or something like that. I wouldn't even want to be standing in the woods when these things go off. But we've had the power go off 3 or 4 times today alone. I think we got like 3.5 inches or something of rain. So, but no, I haven't done anything else with the test garden. Just kind of get an idea what I want to put there. Now I'm actually thinking about moving it around to the other side of the yard. But I don't want to redo that Craig, week-long metal detecting trip, just figuring out what's in the ground, trying to clean all the ground out. Almost wish I had a sifter on that one. That was crazy amount of junk in my yard, and trying to put the test garden right there was about one of the cleaner spots. I don't know what it is, man. I swear they just dumped everything around, just little things everywhere. I'm actually finding pennies at 8 and 9 inches down along the fence line that I hadn't really done before, but I know that I don't even know how they got that deep because they were obviously hit by the lawnmower or whatever. I think I found one the other day. It was bent almost in half from the lawnmower hitting it, but it was like 8 inches down on the ground. So somebody's lawnmower other than mine. But yeah, it's weird the way stuff sinks down here. But yeah, I'll be working on it.
I want to tell Bob D. I'm on the chat box. I can't get that link to come over. It's not doing anything. So
Okay, I might have to change that or copy it and paste it, Craig. That's about the only thing I could think of doing.
it looks like it might be off Flickr or something.
Yeah, flick.kr /P26 capital L little V TZU. So yeah, sometimes they come through. Well, there's one below that, Craig, too. He put another one in.
Well, there's three. There's three, and I can't get any of them to come over.
Yeah, maybe you may have to copy and paste it later or whatever. But yeah, that's what's going on with the test garden, anyways. I just haven't done anything
Well,
with it lately.
I'm doing it on my iPad Pro.
Oh, okay. But yeah, we have a lot of other stuff going on too. I guess I think it was Heath Jones or one of the other shows, or I can't remember which one it was, that put a thing up about Skype, and they're changing something again
Yeah,
so we can't get phone
I had a
calls.
question about that.
Yeah.
Are they trying to start like a premium Skype to make you pay a whole bunch more money?
Essentially, they're that's what I think it's all about, money, because the way, and don't take this negatively or anything. I'm annoyed with Skype because, well, it's working great.
I was
We've
on that site. I sent you the link the other day, but
Mhm.
I saw all the people. They were so frustrated.
Yeah. The only thing I can say is
everything's working great, and I told them don't do anything. But
No.
then they started saying that if you don't, then that you're going to lose the ability to do calls.
and I'm to the point now, Craig, where I'm ready to say, the heck with it. As far as if we can't have more than one caller, even if I could have two callers, that'd be great, because then it would put you on the show, and then allow, like Bill just called in, to be able to talk on the show. But I'm trying to figure out a different way of doing it without Skype. I don't know if it's possible, because we're kind of caught in the middle with this.
They supposedly Heath and Seven and several other people, Josh, they've all looked into it, and it doesn't. There's nothing that's even close.
Well, the theory I have on this is that I pay for a Skype phone number, okay? And I did that specifically for our show, 2 or 3 years ago. And since then, we've had issues with, like, doing an upgrade. Never do the upgrades if you can possibly help it, because you will revert back to this new, or move ahead to the new program that allows you to get normal Skype, where, like, somebody calls you on Skype, or if you have a Skype phone number, they call you on it. You can have the one person, but as soon as you try to add a caller, or make it a party line, like 3 people, a three-way phone call, it puts the other person on hold, and there's no way you could switch back and forth, but you can't have them on the line together. But see, I pay every 3 months, whatever, for the Skype number and everything. And to be honest with you, if I can't use Skype, with the multiple people, why would I bother having a phone number? So they won't get any money out of me, and I'll have to figure out some other way of doing this, because it's really got me annoyed now, because it's the only reason I use Skype. Now I don't know if it works the same way when people call your Skype name, like through the laptop or whatever, have the Skype app and call through Skype itself rather than a landline, whether you can have multiple people on it. And if that's the case, Craig, we can just have you call in through Skype to the show, and then we can have an additional person on as far as calling in the phone number, because if I can't use it, I'm going to get rid of it, and they're going to lose my money. But it seems like that's the going thing now, too, because you just mentioned today about, Facebook, and they're $1.6 billion less on their, 20% of what they're usually making.
They lost $120 billion today.
Yeah, see, that's crazy money.
Something like an hour or less.
Yeah.
And it was 20%, almost 20% of their worth.
Right.
Zuckerberg himself went from the 3rd richest guy in the world to the 6th richest guy in the world. He lost almost $17 billion in one day.
And
it's all about this privacy and all this stuff about this analytical company or whatever, that they were giving them free access to everybody's information,
right?
And then they were selling it, and so was Facebook.
Yep.
And now they're calling for him to be knocked down, take the CEO or the chairmanship away from him, because this is a major, thing on the stockholders.
Right.
This is total incompetence. He's ruined the whole thing. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, when they started changing
they've been
stuff
doing
like
a
that,
whole lot of other things. The other thing is people are starting to drop Facebook, and a lot of young people, they don't. Facebook is getting older. It's like old farts like me and you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get aggravated when you start making all these changes. They're making these changes, and it's not working. Why not go back to the way it was and get your policies figured out, your privacy policies, or you're going to lose a lot more people. Period. I mean, I get on there enough to see.
Well, they've let politics come in.
Right.
They've basically don't like
garbage
politics,
yeah.
so they penalize you. YouTube does it, Google, everybody's Twitter,
yeah.
And it's not right, and people are getting tired of it, and it's wait till the streaming TV comes out. It's already
God, yeah.
I've been hearing, there's like about 10 different services coming out. Every tech giant, and they're bundling all this stuff up. Sounds just like they did with cable TV.
Right.
And look at cable TV in 10 years. It's gone down the drain because it doubled in price.
They got greedy. That's what it amounts to. They're getting more and more greedy.
And the same thing is going to happen. I guarantee you, the same thing's going to happen with streaming TV and this,
right.
all this media, and all the tech giants are just, God, they're in a war trying to, gobble up all these. They were in a battle for Fox Sports. And Disney finally got it, even though Comcast, was guaranteed cash to buy it. They're like $75 billion or something, and you go, oh my God. But just think, and what's going to happen is some of these streaming services aren't going to, content is king. And when you run out of content, you don't have anything.
Exactly.
I don't care, what it is, or how big you are. So you're going to have to constantly be paying for this content. And you see what happened. Apple has bought out a studio in Hollywood. All these people are, buying directors, making their own movies.
Well, it's become
Netflix,
cost effective.
They went up $1. Now they got a new service called Premium. That's like, $14 or something? Or
something like that, yeah. Well,
and I'm already done with Netflix. They were just having nothing but B movies. And, I'm sitting there going,
we watch a lot of the older stuff anyways.
So. I'm just not into older stuff. I can find whatever I want on YouTube now.
Well,
YouTube, they used to have commercials. You could click it off in 4 seconds. Now I got these ones that go on for 25 seconds.
Right.
And you can't click them off.
I don't begrudge
any beer commercials and stuff like that,
I never begrudge anybody making money. Okay, that's what they're in this for and everything. But there comes a time where you've made it so annoying for your people involved, listeners, whatever you want to call them, viewers, that it becomes aggravating. It becomes a money pit. It becomes all about these spammers and trolls and this and that and the other thing. We all been getting hit with these telemarketers. All this information has gone out there. It just becomes too aggravating. It's stupid. Then it's not a social. It's not social anymore. It's more of an aggravation, at least for me. So I don't get on there very much. I do post up the show and I do check out, stuff like bill fines or whatever, and I like the stuff, but I don't go. It's not like it was 2 years ago where we, everybody was kind of joining all these groups and really, making a tight community. This has actually stopped a lot of that in every realm because you don't know what the heck is going on. There's so many people jamming notifications wise and everything, and I ended up turning those off on the phone, and just because I was getting so many of them. But you want to be a part of these groups, but then you have these people that get involved with that group, and they're friending and sending friend requests and want you to it became all political and money oriented, I think. But I don't know what they're going to do. YouTube's the same way.
Like a lot now is Instagram, which is part of Facebook, but they're kind of separate at the same time. But you don't have all this drama. It's just pictures and videos, photos and videos. Basically.
Well, one thing I wanted to say too, Craig, about the Skype especially, is that those of us, I mean, not all of us, obviously, those of us that I think as far as the metal detecting videos or radio shows and stuff like that, we're not making money on this, or if we are, we're not making, if you monetize the stuff, I mean, we're not making bunches of money or anything like that using, doing the radio show or anything like that. Craig, it comes out of our pocket to do this show. I get no money. I'm not monetized. I won't monetize unless I have no other choice but to monetize, and I'm waiting for that to happen. right now you can choose on Spreaker, and they're nice enough to do that, where you don't have to monetize your shows and have commercials put in there. If you do decide to do it, I think you can pick and choose what kind of commercials or whatever you want to call them.
Well, they got a
there.
new thing where you can. It's almost like Patreon or something, where you can have people, that listen to you, but if they pay extra, you give them extra
right
stuff,
And I'm still working on that whole thing. That got
like
put
a
on
like a
hold.
private podcast that nobody can listen to except people that pay.
Right. And we might try that. I was thinking about trying something like that anyways. I have this other project that Bethany and I are working on, and it's gotten crazy for me in the last few months, and it just, we're like halfway there to release on it. But I mean, that's a good idea with Spreaker. I like the way the politics. I mean, because I pay a premium every month for to do the show, to have the ability to do this show. And that comes out of my pocket or Craig's pocket, whatever. We don't make any money. So I mean, when Skype does this kind of stuff, I mean, I'm already paying this much money. Now I got to pay more to have something that, to me, unless you're running business meetings and stuff like that, but a podcast radio, I mean, gosh, we're just having fun with this anyway, so we end up putting even more money in it. To me, it should be included somehow, or at least have, three-way phone calls, because, I remember when we were using this, and my sister was in one state, my parents were in another, and I was using, and we're talking on Skype. Through, like a phone conversation, whatever. That was kind of nice. There's a lot of families who do that, and with all our veterans over, these guys over in guys and gals in Afghanistan, this and that. I don't know how much they're using it, or if they even can. But I mean, to me, they need to back off that. They're gonna screw themselves. I think they're gonna lose a lot of people if we can find a different way of doing this. And I don't. That's one thing that they only recognize. Skype, as far as using the Soundflower to be able to get the show through on a PC or whatever, on a Mac, what have you. But I don't know, maybe we need to go to, what is it called, FaceTime? I've never even thought about trying to go through FaceTime to try to do the same thing, but I don't think the programming is compatible between Spreaker and Apple. That was the one problem I had for about a year with the Mac itself, trying to do the show off of this, because of the programming or the apps that you have to download. So yeah, I don't really have a good reason. I just say do not update anything on Skype. If you have it working now, guys, don't update, because if you do, you're going to be in the same boat. You're going to have to download a previous version in order to have Skype on your show. I mean, it's happened to me. It's happened to Josh. I think it happened.
Well,
to
they're saying that
Keith
if
Jones
you don't
too.
do it, you won't be able to do it at all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, then I guess I'll just have to figure out a redneck ingenuity and figure out a way to have you on the show, Craig, because we'll just, have to have you hang up when somebody calls in, and, we'll talk about whatever.
We've done that before.
Yep, we've done it before.
We've done that before.
Hey, a shoestring and two cans and a string, sometimes, but we made it happen. It's the best we can do at the time, and whether we were having technical difficulties or whatever the problem was. But that Skype has caught us more than once, where I've accidentally updated or updated itself, and I'm in panic mode because I can't take callers. But we still made the show happen. It's I don't know. It's gonna get weirder and weirder as time goes on with all these entities. Maybe Instagram will take notice of what's going on with everybody else and maybe not make the same mistakes. Sure would be nice, but we saw it with what.
It's set up a whole different way.
Right.
It's more into. There's a lot of advertising on Instagram. People and they kind of encourage it, but you can put up pictures with captions. You can put up short videos. Now anybody can do 10 minutes. If you're a creator that makes a lot of money, you can do, I think, an hour.
Right.
So, but I like it. The subjects I'm interested in, like tennis and metal detecting and history and technology and stuff like that, drones. There is so many sites. I've hooked up a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of groups on there, and it's amazing how, everybody likes cool photos and stuff.
Right.
I do a lot of nature photos, a lot of flowers and stuff like that are blooming around.
Well, here's,
And,
I was just thinking.
so people just like, you can just, all it is you look and see the photos and either like it or not, or make a comment. And that is about all it's about. But it's getting huge. I mean, it's growing and growing and growing. They're talking about, major advertising through this thing,
Right.
Down the road. But they already, allowed it used to be you can only do a 10-second video, I think, or maybe
Right.
20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's, I've done, I guess I got about 10 videos on maybe. I've got maybe 400 and some views, but
Right.
I think I've got close to 640 followers. But I've been doing it for, maybe a year, maybe not even a year.
Mm-hmm.
I started doing it about maybe about 9 months ago. Or
Yeah,
so.
something like that. Yeah.
I kind of started doing it when I got tired of YouTube and Facebook were kind of irritating the heck out of me. So I started thinking, started fooling around with Instagram, and there's a whole lot of people that are on Facebook and YouTube that do Instagram. Plus, what better way is showing your relics that you find and your coins and stuff.
Exactly.
I see like DJ Yost and a whole bunch of people showing, their finds on there. Jocelyn, Nugget Noggin. There's a whole bunch of people on there, and
I think it's going to
people in Europe showing their finds. So it's really cool. I think it's who doesn't want to see nice finds of relics?
Well, yeah,
coins
exactly.
when you're into this stuff.
And most of us are.
So it's the perfect medium. It's perfect medium for that. I mean, it's a good medium for drones because they're flying these things over. They show short videos from or they show just stills that the drone's taken from high altitude.
Right.
And they're pictures that you normally don't see. You don't see stuff from that kind of perspective.
Right.
So
I think it's going to change a lot with as far as Facebook and YouTube. I'm not going to stop using them, but I'm going to change the way that I do use them. I can see myself changing a lot of the ways that I search for stuff, or the social media part of it. I ignore a lot of the notifications. A lot of time it becomes so much on my cell phone. I actually turned off notifications altogether on it. But in the way that you use like YouTube, I go to YouTube a lot of times when I'm working on something or I need to fix something or whatever. Want information, I use it as a research tool for whatever I'm doing. So that won't stop. But I don't like the way that they've set it up now. Craig had to show me how to get around it to go to the old way. Kind of the same thing with Facebook. I need to figure out. They have all this, I call it garbage, but it's the analytics and it's boost your post and do this and do that. And yeah, if you want to spend your money that way, that's up to you, depending on how you're using it. But I don't, Craig, I've always said, as far as viewers or reaching more people, if you put something up that they're interested in, they're going to share it amongst themselves. Our guys are really good about that. If they find, like Bill told us about that button, well, I'll put it up on my Facebook page or whatever else. But, to get slammed with all this other stuff and the way they have it designed, it annoys me. It's like a whole lot of information I don't even want to see. I mean, every once in a while I'll look at likes or whatever, and I always check the friend request thing to make sure, I'm getting the right people and not the trolls and the spammers and stuff into my friends group or whatever. And I still find myself having to go through that list just to say, okay, this person hasn't had any activity in how many years, get rid of them because they're from some other place and they're obviously not into metal detecting. So that's who I want on my page, other than family and friends and stuff like that. People that are not even into the hobby, why bother? So I just kind of, get rid of that. But, before we realized it, I don't know about you, Craig, I have like over 3,000 or 4,000 friends on a personal Facebook page. I don't even know a lot of these people because before I realized what was going on, I was accepting, because they were showing an interest, didn't even think about the other flip side of that.
I got about 50 friends that, I see and communicated with on Facebook.
Right.
There's probably about maybe 30 or I guess about 50, and then there's another 100. I hear from time to time. But I got another. I'm up to like probably 3,000. I get sometimes 10 requests a day.
Right.
Nowadays, if it doesn't have a profile picture, I delete it.
Right.
If they got one subscriber in common, I go and check to see who, and
Right.
Usually some kind of bimbo or something.
Yeah.
And so then I look and see who that person was and then I delete them because they're the ones that allow
Sent it
her
right.
to get to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're
And that-
doing all the kinds of tricky stuff. They're constantly trying to game the system. And Facebook, picks it up. It takes them a while sometimes, but then
but still, Craig.
they fix it. But it's
it's
and then you
slamming
get
us.
these ones. You see this girl's picture, and then they go he, and the girl's first name's David.
Yeah.
You know?
Come on. Yeah.
And you go, this is his profile.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Doesn't look. I said, you don't look like a he in this picture.
I don't begrudge any of them, making money. However, but the spammers and stuff, I get so annoyed with. They waste. That's a minute or two I won't ever get back. When you talk about like telemarketers calling on the phone and stuff, my phones were blowing up yesterday. And it's, you tell them, do not call, do not call, do not call. And finally, Pauline's phone kind of calmed down with it. So, but now you have to listen to the whole message before they get to the part, well, to opt out of this, hit 9 or whatever. It's like, I want to smash my phone with a ball-peen hammer because I'm so tired of getting the calls or whatever, especially when I'm talking to like you, Craig. It happened several times. I'm talking to you on the phone. I'm there to talk to you. I don't want to, have this other line beeping in. And it's like, okay, well, I got to take it because it could be, another friend from another state or whatever. So I take it. Telemarketer, come right back to Craig again. And it'll happen 2 or 3 times when we're on the phone or whoever I'm on the phone with. I'm to the point where I was like, I'm ready to change all my phone numbers. But then again, then my friends aren't going to have it. You know what I mean? So, you grin and bear it, but you just keep on.
I never used to get spam on my iPhone, hardly ever. And
Yeah.
I get it
All the time now. All the
And-
time.
And it's like they're doing this thing where they ring the phone and it's like a half a ring or it's just one ring and then
Right.
it goes dead or wwhatever.
Yeah, they're just
And
seeing
then
if you're home or
it
not.
leaves it, and then you should see a number there. So I always Google the number, and then most of the time it says it's spam. But and then you can tell that a whole bunch of people are wondering about this number on the page.
Right.
So,
Personally,
but,
I think they should make it illegal. I really do. I think we're long past that. I can remember back in the 80s this was happening, or whatever before that, because I remember my dad complaining about it. I really think that they should not be able to do what they're doing
Oh,
as
yeah,
far as
they
these.
broke
Absolutely
that.
not.
Oh.
You know.
it was all day long. It got to
Yep.
be all day long on the land phone.
Yep. And it just
And
they want to *69 to block them, but then it costs you. Or before it used to cost you to do that.
Yeah,
It's like
I know.
I'm like, so what do I do? I have over
I
300 phone
as soon as I
numbers
heard,
blocked on
you
my
know,
phone. So
as soon as I knew it was, spam, I just dropped the hammer on them. But I had friends go, "Oh man, you shouldn't do that," and I go, "Why?" And they go, "Well, it's kind of rude." And I go, "No, it's rude that they called me."
yeah,
Come on.
they're taking up my time.
I didn't ask for this. I didn't want their product, whatever it is. If I wanted the product, I'd go on the internet and get it.
I know it doesn't
it's
do
like-
anything, but I even do it at the post where, I'll be sitting there talking to somebody and that phone will ring and it'll be one of those telemarketers. I hit the on button. I got unlimited minutes. I just toss my phone on the table. He goes, "Well, there's somebody on there." I said, "Yeah," and I'll waste 10 minutes of their time like they're going to waste 10 minutes of mine. You know what I mean? I just got that spiteful little, I know it doesn't do anything. It makes me feel a little bit better, just so I can take up a little bit of their phone time so they don't bother somebody else. It's just, I don't know. It's all automated. Most of them are anyways, but the ones that, trick you and they make you think that, so-and-so there. Well, no, you got the wrong phone number. Well, maybe I can talk to you. So now I get, can hear that beep in there, and I always have some smart aleck thing to say to them, and the computer has no idea what I'm talking about anyway. But it's just frustrating.
I've gotten these ones where, since you're such a good customer and you stayed at our hotel, and I'm like, what? I've been to a hotel in like 30 years. Give me a break.
Yeah,
Regular hotel.
I'm sure.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Come on.
It's like, but they got this spiel. Mike gets it too on his phone. It's the same one, and he goes, he's always trying to go, hello, hey. I guess it's basically, probably not even anybody on the phone. They just automated call or something.
Yeah, I get it in the mail too, Craig.
But,
I mean, for years, I get the credit card garbage from whoever, the junk mail, and I always got them this fancy envelope and all this Bliss Tool America. Derek, you have we'll give you a loan for $500,000 for your small business. The fancy stuff, and I'm like, really? I mean, they're not going to give you anything. Nobody gives you anything for free. I mean, it sounds too good to be true. It usually is. So it gets ripped up and thrown away. But I just told Pauline, well, honey, we're doing pretty good. We just got another $500,000 credit, and she starts laughing. Now she's got to the point where you had 3 girlfriends call today. I said, oh, really? The one that wants to get a life insurance for you, one that wants to get the car insurance for you, or, have you buy it through them. I said, oh, I'll call them back later. So now we try to make light of it and joke about it, but really, I could just string them all up. I couldn't imagine doing it.
I used to get that stuff. A lot of times they have like, in the mail, and they have a envelope that you can send them a message back or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I would tear up all their stuff and stick it inside their free envelope, and mail it back to them. And one time my mother caught me doing that, and she goes, your dad did that all the time. I go, oh, really? I didn't know that.
I've even got them about metal detecting. They'll call, and I've had it like 4 or 5 times in the past year where they call and want to put the metal detector up on their new, I'm guessing it's like a Amazon or an eBay kind of thing. And we want to carry your item in our store. It turns out, well, I first time it happened, I talked to the guy because I thought it was legit, but they actually want you to pay them to put your product on there. So it's another, kind of scam that way. I mean, I'm not going to pay somebody to do that. To me, you're just jamming stuff down people's throats. They're going to go out there and attack, as far as, hitting people with all the Facebook stuff and wherever avenue they have to advertise. And I don't begrudge them advertising. I just think the tact, the ethics should be changed on that, because really all you do is tick people off anyway. I mean, it does me. I don't really buy very many things at all that I've ever been.
Yeah, there's so much, so much money being made off advertising. I mean, Google and Facebook have basically destroyed everybody else's, ability to advertise, make money. They want to subsidize newspapers on the internet now, and I go, why don't you just let those people die?
Right.
Things are changing. They either got to get their own internet site and compete like everybody else, the YouTube channel, or just die. I mean, why should they? Things are changing. You got to go with the times. And
well, we saw it happen with.
If they can't make it, cable TV is dying. People aren't watching. Young people, especially, they don't even buy TVs anymore. They just watch,
right on their phone,
on their iPhones and Galaxies, and the screens are big enough. People used to say, that tiny little screen. I said, yeah, when it's inches from your face, it fills your whole vision,
Right.
Just like watching, in the theater almost.
Yep.
Or watching it's almost bigger than your TV when it's that close.
Some of these phones are pretty doggone good. The graphics or the pixels are great. Nice. They've got a lot of good technology in these phones and stuff that, do the videos.
I got iPhone X, and I got a 5.8-inch screen, and it's, super retina, mine's OLED this time, and it's just a beautiful picture. I
Well,
mean,
you shoot
know,
videos on yours, Craig. I mean, the videos you put out, most
Oh
every
yeah,
one of them comes out on, or you've done it on your iPhones.
I do them in. Yeah, I do them on 1080, but I could actually do them in 4K if I want to.
It's not even a need to.
But I don't because.
Well, the reason why you don't want to, number one, is with 4K, you don't have the editing power to, like, when you edit, to put it up and put stuff in there, and it doesn't allow you to. The borders will get blurry. That's the way it says on the GoPro. So I'm not shooting a video outside or inside. I shoot it in 1080 or 2.7K. So I have the adjustment room when I go into the editor to make things clear, colors brighter. You have a lot more room to work with, because if you run I think it's a stabilizer with a GoPro, and in 4K, it messes something. It just doesn't come out quite right. I don't know whether you just don't have the editing software, or I don't have the editing software to do it. But when your cell phone does as good as yours, Craig, what the heck do you need any of that for, unless you're doing something more professional or more, I don't know, you need it, to get another camcorder, because your phone does great, I think, anyways. My phone, this Android, I have a ZTE Android. Sometimes my photos will come out blurry and stuff. It seems like I need to go to an iPhone or a Galaxy, really. I think it was Brandon Stewart that has a lot of luck with Galaxies. And man, when he calls in, it's like he's on the best microphone in the whole world. I mean, he's louder than probably me, and a lot of bass in there and everything, and it sounds good. I mean, Craig, night and day for you compared to you. And you're calling me from your iPhone, and it's clear and everything. But Brandon's, man, I tell you, that technology they have in the microphone and is really good as far as sound goes. I mean, I haven't seen. I've probably seen videos that were shot with a Galaxy. The iPhone definitely does good. Android, not the one I have.
Well, Samsung, the top of the line smartphones in general have the best.
Right.
That's the thing I like about the competition, is they're pushing each other.
Right.
Everybody's pushing. Every year they come out with something that's going to wow everybody.
Yep. Competition is
good. So yeah, so a lot of times some of the Samsung phone cameras have been better, but I've also seen where they oversaturate, like, the colors, to make them brighter and stuff. Whereas Apple doesn't do that as much. You can do oversaturation if you want, but
right.
they want more of a true tone, or true vision or whatever of it. But then you can do all kinds of filters now too.
Right.
But
the only thing too,
the thing I like about Apple the best is the apps and the ecosystem.
Right.
Everything syncs.
Yep.
I can actually transfer my videos and photos over to my iPad and do editing on that, because it's got I got an iPad Pro, which is 12.9 inches.
Right.
So it's huge. It's like a laptop screen, and it's so much easier to do editing on that than it is on the phone. Well, the phone's fairly easy to do too.
Yeah, with the
yeah, but all this stuff is. The ecosystem of Apple is better than Android. Android is more chaotic. It's you got so many different phones.
I'm ready to smash it.
I'm
ready to smash it. Put it that way.
But
lost.
Still, there's nothing like in third place.
Right.
It's basically those are the two best platforms to be on.
Well, yeah. I get annoyed because whatever happened, my screen locked up, couldn't unlock it. Had to call Android, and they got me through it, but I had to reset to factory settings. I lost all my contacts, all my information on my phone. I was able to get some of it back through, because of Facebook and Google, and when I downloaded those apps, I got into my account. But the thing is that, it just locked me out. And it's because my phone is probably 2 years old. I need to get another phone, whatever. But one thing I wanted to say about, you were talking about the 4K and the 1080. if you look up on like YouTube or whatever, you guys have one of these cameras, the GoPro 6 or the GoPro 5, there's videos on YouTube talking about the 4K versus 1080, and they did a scene. They were shooting on both of them side screen, and the 4K was actually, the colors were blurring into each other. That's how vibrant they were. They're almost too vibrant, and compared to the 1080. And even the guy said, if you guys are shooting regular videos, you don't necessarily have to go to a 4K unless you're doing a cinematography kind of, higher end, where you're not moving around outside with all the different colors and everything else like that. Also, the download times. I mean, it's so much more on the 4K. It takes like almost, if it takes you 5 minutes with 1080, it's going to take you 20 minutes with 4K to download the same video onto your editing software or whatever. It just takes a lot longer, faster on 1080, and 1080 comes out pretty good, I think. I mean, you can make the final adjustments in your editing if you want to when you're putting the video together or what have you, because we're outside a lot of times, so you're going to get all those vibrant colors and everything else.
There's not much 4K content,
right,
on regular TVs. I mean, or even YouTube.
Right.
It's mostly set up for 1080.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, it was all 720.
I was just going to say that, 720, and it's like.
I remember when it was standard definition.
Right.
That I was doing it in. And everybody's, oh man, your videos look great on YouTube. And now it's like night and day compared. I look back at those; they look like crap compared to the
ones
I
know. I was looking at some of my first videos, and I was shooting them with the flip recorder. The flip camcorders we're talking 2011, 2012, and man, the difference even in the intros and stuff like that, how different they were, color-wise, sound-wise, and everything. It just, we're always outside most of the time. I do a few indoor ones, instructional videos, but when we're outside, you want to get all that, color, that nature, that you want it to be the best it can be, but you don't want to overdo it. It's not really about the video being 4K. You want quality, consistent quality when you're shooting a video. And if you can do it at 1080, and you can brighten when you go into an editing software. Like if the shot is too bright, you can lower the exposure or whatever. The colors aren't bright enough. You can change that to make the colors brighter. You could do that a lot easier in 1080, I think. But I tried all this stuff, and they talk about settings and stuff. Even for the GoPro, it's like a metal detectors. Everybody has their own idea of what works best for them. And I've tried some of this stuff and had to redo an entire video because it was way too dark and I couldn't do anything with it. It just wouldn't brighten up, or it looked hokey when you brightened it up. So it's sometimes doing all these final. You got to try this stuff before you actually go out there to really, really shoot a video. Do some test videos with them, because even on your cell phones, I mean, if you don't know what your cell phone's going to put, the final product's going to be like, and you shoot a video with your cell phone and you download it onto your computer or iPad or whatever you guys are using, when it goes into the editor and you final cut it or whatever, see what the quality is. Because I know when I first downloaded the video onto my Mac from the GoPro, and it looked fine. But when I put it into iMovie and edited it and everything, it just came out grainy, and I didn't have enough light. The settings were wrong on the GoPro. It's really annoying when you have to reshoot a whole video, because especially if you're doing a live hunt, you've lost it because you can't really redo what you found out there. I mean, you're not going to, obviously it's not going to be a live hunt anymore. Now it's a edited version of what you found, and it's not going to come out very good. You can't just put the stuff back in the ground, to dig it up again. So, a lot of these, guys that are trying this.
Hey, you got a fake find.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Find. And that's why I've always hated to cut my videos, but I mean, sometimes they become so long, we might shoot, I mean, Craig, I don't know about you, but if I'm doing a live hunt, I might shoot an hour's worth of video in footage. And then I take it, back to the house, and I didn't find anything for this 20 minutes or whatever, or whatever. And I cut that part of it out, but I try to leave as much as I can in there so that people see that it's okay. This is not, I didn't BS anybody. This is what I found and everything else. Because you start cutting up too much, then people, they can get funny on that. I like the way you do it too, Craig, where you show the item you find and then you show when you're digging it. You're just kind of giving a sneak preview or whatever. And that's all cool and everything. But the more editing you have to do, especially if you made a really good find, and then it starts looking hokey. And people, you get that haters out there that will. Most of us can tell. I mean, if you've been in the hobby and seen enough finds, you can tell if something was pretty much legit or BS. Whether because you're looking for it, you're looking to see. You do have instances where like what happened with that show on Netflix. We were watching a documentary. Our guard wasn't up. We were just watching like anybody else would. But when you watch a metal detecting video, a lot of us are really into. Okay, where was his settings at? How was he, he was working his detector here, he found this or that. I mean, you're more in tune with what's actually going on a critiquing level, I guess you could say, or whatever, trying to get more information for yourself to learn how to use your metal detector better. So you're a lot more observant, I should say. So you're going to spot those kind of, the weird ones rather easily. And they are out there. There's not a lot, I don't think. I mean, Craig, I don't know about what, 10%? Are fake or whatever. Most of them are pretty, I've never really known anybody to really, lead us astray. A few videos, but most of the time they're, I would say most of them are legit anyways.
I could tell you a couple that do it all the time, but I don't watch them much. But
right, you just stop watching them.
My friend Mike was asking me about this one, and I go, oh my God, that guy finds hordes every time he goes out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a, I've never found one. This guy finds one every time he goes out. Come on.
It's the same as comparison videos, and you could, guys pay attention to those because it, in a comparison video, you do have a lot of, some people out there that will purposely make a detector look bad or good or whatever. I mean, if you're doing a comparison video, keep that in mind. Keep it legit. Don't leave yourself open to having somebody say that you didn't do an honest video. If you're doing an honest video, you don't want them to do it in such a way that it makes it look hokey. You know what I mean? Because they're going to come down on you, or they could come down on you. And you really, Craig, even when we do a video, I mean, I know when you did that Deus Bliss Tool video, it's one of your best videos. More views on it than anything, but you had enough haters on that one too. And you did a legitimate video. I mean, straight up, but they were fussing about the old Ford and Chevy argument. I mean, pretty much who likes what better, not what the performances, not what you were trying to show. You were just showing the capabilities, and that's why I stopped doing comparison videos so much. Because
I don't do that anymore myself, and but they also got the most views.
Right.
I got one that's getting close to, just went over 7,000 views. And, I was comparing the Bliss Tool and the Deus. And, it's probably my second or third best views on any video that I've had. I got one that's over 14,000 that was just basically my first test, my first time out with the Deus. But it, I don't know. It's just I know what the machines are like nowadays, but nobody wants to see their detector fail against other detectors and stuff. I can see that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that, though. I mean, I get upset when I see a purposely done lie, I call them, whatever, where they've purposely made a metal detector fail. Those are the ones that tick me off a little bit. I mean, at least, try to get it. I try to get every detector I ever compare to the best performance I can. I give it as much chance as I can give it when comparing it to another metal detector that I've done the same thing with. And that's the reason I did my few in the same area, going over the same ground, and marking them and everything else. It just became so much work to do that, but it was the best way, the most legitimate way I could figure on doing a comparison video on a live situation where you have an area that you're doing with both detectors and marking them and seeing which ones will get what. Then I rescan them. It just became a lot of work. I know it was probably informational, but it's better than I've seen guys do regular testing, like in a test garden, and it's all well and good. But then, a few of them would, you say, fudge it a little bit. You don't. You just show what the detectors will do. That's all you have to do. And if it won't do it, I don't care if it's your best detector. If it doesn't perform right and the other one does better for you, that's what you say. I mean, it's simply, and 95% of the people do that. It's just there's a few that don't. But
the comparison videos that I got good reviews on between the Deus and the Bliss Tools was the speed test, on the signal response. And, both machines are, extremely fast. There's, not a lot of difference,
right.
As far as speed of those machines. They both do excellent on, in a nail, high nail environment.
Right.
But I even did one, I think it was Madison, Maine. He has a V3, and he wanted, when I got the V5, he said, could you do a video showing the comparison and the speed test between the V5 and the V3, and
right.
I did, and he said, I can't tell the difference really. They're both,
well, they're fast, and they're
both doing great. Yeah, and so I got about 11 or 1,200 views on that.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I think what makes the best sense, though, Craig, with the recovery delay, anyways, is that when you hit it in a live hunt situation, I mean, that's the best, the recovery delay. When you sweep across the ground and get 4 targets in one swing, where it's keying off, that's when because those are all different depths. I mean, you only could show so much in an instructional or show them kind of how it does.
Remember that we won't name the guy's name, but he's done it before. But remember when he made all those machines fail on where he put a coin below the nails,
right,
on
each
side.
Yep. Yeah.
And I remember, it got a lot of people upset.
Oh, it got me ticked off.
I was on the site, and so there was this guy Eddie, and he had a CTX 3030, and he was going, something, and because the guy made the CTX 3030 fail on this,
right?
And he was kind of promoting the Deus, I believe.
Nope, Deep Tech.
Tech,
that's what he was doing.
Yeah. So anyway, I sent Eddie a message, or I said, why don't you do a video or try it on your machine, and and he goes, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
So there were several people that took their machines out and did the exact same test and were able to get a much better result. In fact, Eddie came back and said the guy deliberately made this fail.
He did. Yeah, because I did the same test.
He actually set the setting so it would fail. And I said, oh, my God, but we wouldn't have known that unless I'd said, hey, why don't everybody try this test, It's kind of like that overload test,
Right.
That was pretty cool, where a lot of people didn't know that, you could have a good target, and if it read too high, it would be an overload.
Right.
It would act like iron or junk or something, Yeah.
So, there's a difference, too. I like the videos where the guys are comparing a video, but they always say, well, most of them say in the beginning of the video, hey, I just got this brand A, and I'm going to put it up against the detector I always use. They always say that. So okay, there's a learning curve here. There is when I use a detector. I think in some of my review videos, I say it on there. I say, I got 4 hours with this machine, or I got 8 hours with this machine, or whatever. I mean, there's room in there where I'm going to mess up. I only can show you what I know about the machine so far. And a lot of them do it the same thing. And as they get better with the machine, the videos get more in depth, and he finds the right settings or whatever else. And they always say that. And that's good to tell them, because if you get a new person watching a video, you're not, just throwing it out there like, oh, this is the best it'll ever do. Well, you just got the detector. How do you know that? You got to review it. I go through the whole shebang, I like the way it's set up, I like the way it's engineered. I don't like this, or I don't like that. that's the information you need to give as far
Yeah,
as
well,
how.
we kept learning new things as we went along.
Right.
Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And same thing with the Deus. I kept discovering little things every once in a while about the Deus.
Mhm. Well, it's a progression.
and-
It's a progression of what we do, anyways. I always still, when the guys call me and want settings or anything like that, I say, you watch my videos, even the V3 videos or Craig's V3 videos. It's a progression on what we learn with the machine as we go along, and it was a lot of information. So there's a ton of videos. But it always showed, where we were at the very first day with the machine or whatever, and where we are now with it. But we're able to share the information to people that just get the machine or are just, have just started using it for the most part, and they have that much more of a jump on learning the machine or understanding what it's doing by watching others that have already figured it out. It's just no different than any other machine like the Equinox or the Quest or whatever you're using. Deus, as like Craig is going to be able to give you more information than the guy that has a year with a Deus, because Craig's used it for ever, so he's going to definitely, but he can still learn too. I mean, I'm sure there's little tips and stuff that you've gotten from other people that helps you better with the Deus as you go along too. I mean, but it's as long as you're sharing legitimate information. Like I said, that video that you were talking about with the 2x4s and everything, I actually did that and doubled the depth on it because I got ticked off because, well, at least swing the detector properly. He was at a total angle compared to every other machine. And of course not. It's not going to, it's hitting too much other stuff around on there. It's not going to be accurate. And then they did the same thing, I think, with the CTX and a few other machines. And then all of a sudden the Deus did okay and the Deep Tech did okay. Well, come on. I mean, I know what my machine will do, and I went right out there and did it, and so did the guy with the CTX. He's like, "Oh, my machine does it too." Well, the guy just got caught. That's ridiculous to do that to people, to make your machine look the best. I'm sorry, that's the oldest trick in the book. We're watching for it because we pick apart machines. I mean, we'll see these foreign machines, these from overseas or whatever, these newer ones. And, I'm watching intently. It doesn't matter if I speak their language or not. I can see with the machine. I can hear with the machine. I can see how they're swinging it, all the whole 9 yards. If I can see that, I can make a judgment on whether it's something I want to try or whether I think it has, it could be a possibility it could be better. And we've been skunked on machines before, Craig, but I mean, usually it's not quite so bad. I think the worst, well, I'm not even going to give the brand, but I had a particular detector that would totally disappointed me to the point it was like, sell it. That's how bad it was. And it was perceived to be this high-end detector. And it wasn't. It wasn't even, I wouldn't even consider a low mid-level, if that. So the way they put it out there, it can't be all.
I was asking a guy I knew on the phone, he had one, and I won't say what it is either.
Yeah.
But he said, I said, "Oh, how you like it?" And he goes, "I'll sell it to you." And I said, "It's that bad, huh?" He started laughing. So he said something about look on eBay, and I looked on eBay. Man, they had
a ton of them.
50 to 100 of those things on there, trying to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. And this machine was touted as a Deus, better than a Deus, and lower in price.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. That was like 4 years ago. I remember that machine.
Well, you had one.
Yeah, I did, and that's the one I sold right away too. I was like, "What the heck?" I can't believe anybody would use. Well, I can believe it because they were sold on it. They were sold, verbally that it was the best thing since sliced bread, and it wasn't. And that frustrates me because if you have a newer person to the hobby, hey, money's tight. It's hard to go out and buy a machine, more than once a year, if anything. I mean, unless you have the money put away. So some people are investing in a machine that doesn't do what it said it can do by a long shot. That ticks me off because you might have just soured somebody on metal detecting. They say, "Oh, this doesn't do anything," or whatever. I'm only finding stuff at 4 inches deep. I don't want that. They said it would get 8 inches on this or 9, whatever. So you got to. The live hunt kind of testing that I was doing, I felt was about the fairest I could possibly do. And I was actually,
the price range of the machine was. There's an old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yep.
you know. So, there's another saying called buyer beware.
Yeah.
I've
Right.
told people, wait until this machine comes out. Don't jump on it and be the first one to get one.
Right.
It's wait a little while. You already got a good machine.
Yeah. Usually.
Wait and see if this is really a good machine. And it's the same with those programs with the Deus.
Yep.
Oh man, all hell broke loose when when that first program when it went from 2.0 to 3.0.
Right.
It didn't work. It was all messed up. And I decided I'm going to wait until this thing is totally stabilized and there's no problems. So
Right.
then they came out with 3.1. That didn't do the trick either.
Mm-hmm.
People still having problems. And I told a couple of people, just wait. They're probably going to come out with 3.2 or 3.3. They came out with 3.2, took care of all the problems. It was nothing.
I'm kind of like one of those
And
people,
same
Craig.
thing-
I can't stand it when there's something out there that I want real bad.
I
know,
know it. I'm
it
the same
kills
way,
me.
But I've learned that you got to have some patience,
Right.
sometimes.
Yep.
And same thing happened when they came out with 4.0. They had to go to 4.1.
Yep. Everybody
And,
knows how much patience I have. I'm a pillar
now
of
they got
patience.
Now they got 5.0. Now they got 5.0
Right.
with all these new coils. So, I wonder if they're going to, be a 5.1 or a 5.2 on that one. But,
Well, even
know,
using them too, Craig. I mean, like I said, if you go out there for the first time, and you're going to make a video, make sure you have at least a little bit of time with it, or say it, straight out. Hey, I don't have any time with this. I'm just going to turn it on and go. I was actually going to try to do that with the Quest, but it was so easy. As far as it was pretty basic. Pick what mode you want to be in, ground balance the machine, and hunt. And then you can mess with all the other little bells and whistles as you go along, and just using presets to try to, to get used to the machine, what it's going to do, what it sounds like, and just give an honest review of it. And that's what I thought of it. But I think pretty highly of the Quest. I mean, is it my go-to machine? No. For me, I feel totally comfortable and know that I'm fine. What I'm finding with with my detector, with the V6 and V5s. I know it very well, but I also don't dog the other one because I could see the potential in it, in the way that it does perform. I mean, it does what it says it'll do. I felt comfortable with it. It did, it wasn't jumping all over the place. It wasn't erratic. It has a fast recovery delay. These are all points that are from a higher end machine, and doing it just as good for not half the price, but considerably lower than a lot of them. So that would be, to me, that's a good machine for somebody to try. Or even the mid-level machine was really good for somebody who's just getting started because it has a lower price on it. I mean, for what you're getting, the value in it. So, as you get into the hobby more, a lot of these guys on chat here have several years in, so they know what I'm talking about. But like the newer people, I've had a lot of people message me and wondering what machine to get, and they're smaller, or they can't handle a heavy machine. Which one do I get? And just pretty much, I tell them, hey, I'll give you some suggestions. Of course, I always tell them, like
but it's hard
Deus
I hate to, tell people this
Right.
is the one to get.
But I always tell them to
'cause
watch
then
the
they,
videos.
Something happens and then
Right.
you go, uh-oh.
Well, you got to give
Said
them.
it.
I always
But-
tell them to go back and through and do their own research,
I
talk
always
to
say,
some
well,
friends.
this is the one I like. you
Right.
know. But I don't know if you. I've done the same thing with tennis rackets. I've sold tennis rackets over the years, and everybody has. It's just like, detectors. They're all different. They play differently. And I would tell people, I can't. What I like, you probably would hate.
Yep.
you
Yeah,
know.
it could be. Yeah.
I had a heavy racket. I actually made the racket heavier,
Right.
because I wanted more mass behind the shot.
Right.
Whereas most people went real light. They went as light as it could possibly get. And the pros all play very heavy. The racket, you'd be surprised. I
How much
talked
weight
to
they're
pros
swinging.
and felt the rackets.
Yeah.
And they were just like mine.
Mhm.
They were just as heavy. And I thought, that's, they, people that are good in tennis don't need power. We already have power. What we need is control to control the power.
Right.
So,
Well, it's also like,
it-
Oh,
it's
good.
the same thing with the detector. You
Yeah.
got these high powered detectors. You can't always use the power.
Nope. Nope.
And it's like an EMI or in bad ground, or the ground, or the ground's too wet and you can't pump it all the way up with the sensitivity, or it's just making too much noise. So
Yeah,
I have a lot. I've known people that they have the same settings, they don't want to change, they get really pissed off if everything doesn't work right at that setting no matter what,
right. And
and
you
it's
got
always the highest power they can get. And you can't tell them. They get mad. Oh no, this is I don't want to do this. I want to do it this way.
well,
And
try
I
it.
go, okay, don't ask me again then,
Yeah.
because I'm
I
going
think
to tell
it's
you the same answer I just told you.
there's so many
know?
there's so many different levels to this hobby. People are at different stages. Some just like to coin hunt. Some just like to go out once a month and horse around in the yard. Other of us are so into it that we're looking for that edge on a particular detector that's going to make it better than what we already have. But we're on so many different levels in the hobby because I'm looking at adjustment room. What can I do with this machine? How much more can I learn from the machine, or adjust it, or is there ways of making this machine even better? That's where my mind goes pretty much from the get-go. If it doesn't offer me this kind of improvement, then I don't keep them very long because I'm always striving for that what I call perfection of my hunting style, the way I like to hunt. I want to perfect that. I want to be the best I can with that detector. And it goes the same if I buy another one like this Quest right now. I'm really putting it through its paces, and I see the potential in it. But for somebody that's just into the hobby for a year, they're not even on the same page in that aspect. They're just getting used to the whole hobby, and having fun with it. It depends where your fun level is. Some of us don't want to get out of presets. I mean, that's just the way it is. They want to hunt that way. They don't want to do any adjustments. And God bless them. I'm glad they're having fun with it. That's what it's all about, really, is having fun and playing in the dirt. But so I always have to reel myself back as far as the tech talk, or I feel like I have to because I don't want to, overload somebody on information, especially the newer people in the hobby. I mean, as long as every metal detector will find you something, it's just that as you get better with them, as you want to make a progress into a higher end detector with more performance, talk to your friends, talk to people on that on Facebook, friends that detect and stuff that have that detector, so that you can make an informed decision on what you want. If you see something that you don't like about it, or it doesn't do something you want it to do, then you need to go to a different brand or a different model to get there. Because I get asked that all the time, which detector to buy? I'm not going to tell you to buy, any detector right off. I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy a Quest. I'm just going to tell you what Quest can do, and or Deus or Equinox or whatever. I'm going to tell you what I know about them. And I could tell you that, I always tell the guys or gals or whatever, watch some videos of real people, not the store infomercials about the detector, because they're gonna throw words at you like all terrain, and it'll go here and it'll do this and it'll dig it up for you and hand it to you, and being exaggerated, but that's what they're going to tell you. They're going to do whatever it is because they're sales oriented and they're like locomotives with it. But what it would really do, that's what you want to know. You want the meat and potatoes of what that machine will do from a standpoint of a user standpoint. Another customer buying it. And I look at reviews. I mean, because if somebody puts on a paragraph review, they're pretty, for whatever reason, good or bad, they're very thorough. That means they believe in what they have seen with the detector. Not that it's right or wrong what their information is, but if you start seeing a lot of people that are saying, hey, this is great, or you start seeing them, hey, this is okay, but it has all these problems, and everybody's saying, obviously, you're not going to want to buy that one. You want to get the best, so you're going to go look around some more and find a detector that meets more what you're looking for. That's about the best way I can put that as far as what detector you want. Because even like Aqua Trigger and the Stealth Digger, Hoover Boys, all that, they don't use just one metal detector. I'm sure they have a multitude of detectors. So, I mean, Aqua Trigger did one. He was showing all the detectors that he had there that he uses and what he uses them for, and it's in your arsenal of detectors. If you can do it.
Yeah, but he's also
Well-
Jarrett team guy,
Right.
and so is the Hoover boys. They
Yeah,
they basically
yeah.
all use AT Maxes now, but
Yeah.
they get some compensation for it. And
Oh, I'm
stuff
sure,
like
but
that.
I think that their information, though, I mean, it hasn't jilted them in that aspect. They're not going to, they're not going to sit there and say it's the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, they're not going to do that because they
No,
know,
I mean-
they're going to give you what the machine will do. I mean, they got a lot of credibility. So,
Yeah,
I feel okay with
they
that.
do some really good videos. That's
There's
probably
nothing
my
wrong
second
with-
favorite YouTube channel.
There's nothing wrong with being being involved with Mind Lab or Garrett or White's or, Quest or whatever, as long as you keep your credibility and do things the way you know it should be done. And if their acceptance of that is great, if you're under contract, I don't know how that all worked, but I wouldn't sacrifice anything for that, as far as, lying or anything else like that. I know guys that have left, really good money over their, people asking them to do something that wasn't true or was, faked or whatever. They dropped it. They said, it's not worth my credibility. I'm out, and I don't blame them a bit. I've done it myself. I'm not going to sit there and lie about something. I mean, because it comes back. It doesn't come back to the company. It comes back to you. So you got to give the right information if that's what you want to do for a living or whatever. You lie about it, well, people are going to watch your stuff. I mean, there's several that Craig mentioned that, we didn't mention names, but I don't even look at their videos, because they've done it repeatedly, and you guys probably know which ones I'm talking about. But yeah, it just, go with the information you gather. Get a starting point. Somebody tells you, hey, look at this brand A. If brand A doesn't look good, look at brand B. I mean, it's your money. It's your hard-earned money, and it's your hobby that you want to go out there and do. So get something that's going to match your area. You don't expect to take, example, don't try to take a regular old VLF to the wet salt sand and expect it to work properly. It's going to be tough, because they're not designed for that. You can adjust it, but you're going to lose depth and everything else. You got to get a machine that can handle that environment at least reasonably, or it's not going to be a fun day. You're going to be stuck in the dry sand, or if you're up in Culpeper, or I'm just using a really highly mineralized ground, and you buy a Nautilus, well, good luck to you, brother, because you're going to have one heck of a time in that mineralized ground with it. You got to buy something that can adapt to it. So you're where you live at in the country matters. What environment, whether you're in the mountains or down in here, on sand, low mineralized ground, it's easier for me down here. I can pick and choose, but I've hunted those other spots like up by Craig and Culpeper and Tennessee and all that. So I kind of have an idea. Well, if I'm having a problem with it down here on this type of situation, what the heck is it going to do up there? It's probably not going to work. So I'm not going to get this detector. I'm going to buy one that can handle true all-terrain, or at least within reason. That's a name they like to throw out there a lot at you. Let me tell you something. Every detector out there will say like all-terrain, every environment. You may work, but it's not going to work good on a lot of these environments because ground can get very harsh very quick. And if you guys haven't hunted in mineralized ground, it's a whole different ball game. You got to know how to, work in it so you can get an idea of what your detector will do. Test garden is the best. Bury a couple items. I don't care if you're just up there visiting. If you're going to be hunting, like in, I use it all the time because Culpeper has some really bad ground. But go up there and bury a few, dimes or whatever at shallow depths and see if your detector can even get it, because it's very difficult for a detector to get through that soil. So it just do your research. Don't buy something that's not going to be working for you. You're just going to be aggravated. And know how to set it up. I mean, talk to people. These guys are very forthcoming with information. If you talk to, you ask Bill Bill or Brandon or whatever, what an AT Pro will do and how they set it up and everything, they're going to tell you. They're pretty, they're very forthcoming with information. But if you're living, in Culpeper and you're getting settings from Bill, it's probably not going to work the greatest for you, because of the environment that you're in. You have to kind of match that up. So. But, Craig, I think I'm going to wrap up the show tonight. We kind of went way over. About 10, 15. It was fun.
Noticed that. I looked at the watch a little while ago, and it was like 5 minutes to 10, and I was like, God, I thought it was only about 9. So,
Oh, Nelson's saying he's really upset with, really angry with Bob. He's still looking for the backwards 7. Craig, why don't you
Yeah,
put
that
that?
is.
Craig, can you put up that
Yeah,
picture on your Facebook page, on the Hardcore Facebook page that you made up?
yeah, I'll probably put it up there.
Put it up there, and I'll try to do it from my computer on the Hardcore. That way, you guys can see the picture that Bob put up and everything, and that way they can see that. But I'll probably wrap it up for tonight. But yeah, that was pretty funny. I like that. You still can't see the backwards 7. At any rate, all right, guys. Well, we'll talk on Saturday night. I don't know if I'm going to get out there hunting or not. I'm going to try to get out Saturday morning, but you know how that goes with this rain down here. This is like the worst time of year for us, so I'll try to get out there a little bit. Maybe have some finds there to share well on the show. Craig, shoot, you're probably not going to get out either because I heard you got rain too coming. We'll see.
Yeah, we got thunderstorms tomorrow, but today was not bad. But it's the first day we've had. It's
pretty
supposed to
decent.
be like 5-6 days. Same thing up in New Hampshire. They were getting they had like 5 days of rain in a row.
Right
up there. So
yeah, it's getting crazy with the rain. Other parts of the country are drying out to nothing. So it's strange, but. All right, buddy. Well, we'll wrap it up for tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. We're on every every Thursday and Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to check out the other shows on Spreaker.com, the other Metal Technique shows, and other shows, too. A lot of information on there. You can download most all these shows, listen to them at your own convenience, and be sure to like and follow the shows. I mean, it does help. And it's nice to see the people wherever you're at in the world, because these shows go all around the world. I mean, we have listeners in England and Ireland and Australia and everything. And we don't talk about a lot because I haven't been to those countries to hunt yet. But if you ever want to be on the show and you're in one of those countries, hey, get in contact with me and we'll work something out and get you on here as a guest, because I know that we're interested in all relics from all over the world. It doesn't really matter. It's all interesting to us. So we'll see you later, guys. Get out there if you can hunt, find some goodies, and we'll talk on Saturday night. Have a good night. Keep digging, and God bless.